What is going on YouTube? Robo Sushi here, bringing you guys another BT6 gameplay video. This time on the left, it'll be me piloting the Three Musketeers list that I've been really enjoying recently, and on the right will be my opponent who is playing the Agumon Bond of Bravery, the Rookie Rush version. We'll start the game off by digivolving an Impmon and then hard playing an Impmon. Usually the best way to go. I'm usually not being able to choke very much in this deck, as most of you guys know, unless we get very specific cards, especially going first. This deck definitely wants to go second, so this is pretty much one of the better turn one plays that you can possibly do. On the right, my opponent will be starting off with the Hatch evolve into the Agumon, playing the BT6 tie, the one that lets you cheat into the Agumon, and then playing the Searcher Agumon. She'll take the Marcus off of the Search. It's the only target that she actually is able to take. It's good to see the two Bond go to the bottom of the deck. That helps give me a little bit ease of mind, assuming that she might not have another Bond for a while. So I'll just go ahead and swing it with the Impmon, hoping it dies, and it ends up hitting a Marcus, giving her a free Marcus, so she doesn't even need to play the one that she got off of the Search. And then I'll swing in with the other Impmon. It'll die this time. We'll get two 7-cost options in the trash, and then I'll just follow it up with a Deputymon, revealing 2 Fly Bullets and some more rookies, and take 1 Fly Bullet and trash the rest. So trash is already looking pretty good for turn 2. Got 3 7-costs in the grave, so Beal Star at this point costs 9. Here my opponent will go ahead and raise up the Agumon. You can kind of see in her hand she's got the Bond waiting, and so I'm kind of expecting her to go into it, even though I saw 2 go to the bottom. But with the way that she's thinking, she might need to actually clear my board a little bit easier, and Bond does give her those extra checks. So that is in fact what she does. Digivolves into the Bond of Bravery, drawing card, milling the top 2. Kind of hurts to see the tie and the Magnadramon go, especially because you already did have to burn your security down pretty far. So here she'll use the effect to delete the Deputymon, and then I'll have to trash the Vilemon, and then the check will actually be a Beelstarmon. So here is where I'm thinking she's going to swing over my Impmon, but she decides to go ahead and just check security. It'll die to the Zwart insecurity. So now she's at 1 security, and I do still have my Impmon on the board. So I was wondering how she's going to deal with it. I'm thinking she's going to follow it up with some other type of removal. But looking at her hand, it doesn't look like she actually has anything. Looking at her trash, and you can kind of see she's got the Agumon Expert sitting there at the front of her hand. And well, she does have the 2 Trident revolvers, but instead decides to try to memory choke me a little bit and play the Agumon Expert to get back that promo Agumon. That's the one that gives Greymon plus 2 Ks. So pass turn over to me. I'll go ahead and hatch, digivolve into a Sound Birdmon. This time I'll swing in with the Impmon in the hopes that it survives, and it does, but unfortunately, or it doesn't survive, but this time, unfortunately, it does hit the Geo Greymon. But off the mills, I do hit all 3 Musketeers cards, so Beelstarmon's even cheaper, and then I'll just go ahead and draw 1, discard 1 for the Demi-Mirror effect. So at this point, I believe my Beelstarmon is a 4-cost or 5-cost? Yeah, so it looks like it's a 4-cost, so I'll play her, and then I'll go ahead and take Gewalt Schwarmer, wiping the field. So because the Impmon's mills were so good, it ended up balancing it out. The unfortunate hitting the Geo Greymon out of security. So now my opponent has an empty board. She has 2 Tamers on field to my 2 security, and she has 0 security on board. So she's trying to decide how she's going to do it. Here she just decides to go ahead. She hasn't actually played against this matchup, come to find out before. So she was reading what Beelstarmon did. That little cut was so she could read some of the cards and some of the option cards that I had, the 3 Musket cards in general. And so here she'll decide to go ahead and evolve into the Agumon, the BT6 Agumon. She's trying to find out a way out of it. I do have you can see in her hand, she doesn't really have any blockers. I have the Sound Birdmon in Raising, so that's kind of the nail in the coffin, unfortunately. Here she'll just go ahead and Gaia Force to get rid of the Beelstarmon, and I will just promote Sound Birdmon and swing for game. So that game 1 kind of shows you how the explosiveness of 3 Musketeers can be if you get really good mills off of your Impmon and your Deputymon, because then you can, as early as turn maybe like 4 or 5 for you, play your Beelstarmon for as low as 4. So my opponent will decide to go first and ends up unfortunately hitting a brick. She hatches her egg and just plays a tie, so no rookies, which is really unfortunate. I, on the other hand, end up having a pretty decent hand. I'm able to go into the Impmon back in Raising, and then play a Deputymon, reveal the Beelstar and the Fly Bullet off of it. So already filling up getting to have a Beelstar in hand so my opponent kind of knows what to expect. You can see her hand, and she does have a couple of champions, but she does have plenty of removal options, but doesn't want to pass me over, try to get some value out of that Atomic Blaster. So I go ahead and I promote, swing in with the Impmon. Don't get any good mills off of the Impmon actual effect, but I will get the draw 1, discard 1 off of the Demi-Mera. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. What's the best thing to discard? Decide to go ahead with the Happy Bullet Shower because I have to play that when there's a 3 Musk on the board. And then just decide to cycle a little bit more, warp into the Gundramon using the Deputymon effect, revealing, again, no 3 Musketeers or option cards. So, as I said in the first game, when your mills can be great, the deck can really pop off, but in the other hand, you can see what happens when you don't end up getting any good mills. So here, my opponent will just go ahead, use the Gaia Force, get rid of the Gundramon. I actually don't mind this because, like I said, I'm kind of starving for 3 Musks and option cards and trash. So she'll go ahead and pass turn with that, and I will hatch into the Demi-Mera, evolve into the Impmon, and then just try to make the effective use of my memory. It's really the hardest thing to choke, but I go ahead and play the Mechanori and the Soundbird. She does have the Atomic Blaster to wipe my field, so I just promote the Impmon, swing in. It does die, hitting into the Geogreymon, which is kind of unfortunate for me. Again, no good mills off of the Impmon, no 3 Musketeers or option cards, and I believe at this point my hand is just full. I know I have a Beelstarmon, but I am just chock full of option cards that really I don't have much ability to use. So decide to go into another Deputymon, thinking surely that this one will be a little bit better, and still somehow end up hitting a bunch of cards that I can't really deal with, but I do end up being able to grab one of them, trashing the Trump Sword, keep the Happy Bullet Shower just because it might be my only way to deal with a Bond or something like that if it does stick around. So I pass the turn, she hits the rookie this time, evolves into the Promo Greymon, and then swings in with the Geogreymon. And here she decides to go ahead and use the Trident Revolver to take out my Deputymon, keep any warp shenanigans from happening, and then is able to play her Marcus for free as well. So here I'll go ahead and hatch into the Sunamon and Digivolve into the Gazimon. And even though we're pretty far into the game at this point, my Beelstarmon is still only 8 cost, but luckily for me she passed me to 5 with that Trident Revolver. So I am able to play her and keep her at the 3 memory. And I'll just go ahead and Nailbone. I figure at this point I kind of need a little bit of a board presence to stop things down, because if she does have a Bond or something like that, and with that Greymon in the back, I don't want those checks getting through. So I just, decide to go wide. So I'll pass turn over to her. She will promote the Greymon, gain the memory, and draw the card off a tie, because the tie does work with not just Agumons, but also with Greymons. And here she's kind of thinking about what she's going to do. That Greymon, since it doesn't have a good Agumon underneath, is only 6k, so she'll try to swing in with 2 checks, and I will just decide to go for the trade with the Vilemon. Vilemon does pretty well in the trash anyway. So now my opponent's trying to decide what she wants to do. The Geogreymon does live that security check against the Impmon, and I have 3 swings on board effectively next turn to her 3 security, so it's not like I have game. She's been, without a memory tamer and without more in trash, Beelstarmon is going to constantly cost me at least, I think, 8 at this point. I think I only have 4 in trash still, so she's trying to decide if she wants to recover is my guess. You can see that Magnadramon in hand. Here she's reading Soundbird. Again, first time playing the list, so she's just double checking what all the cards do. So she's thinking about either recovering to Magnadramon, that'll put her up to 6, or she does have a few removal spells. I think she has an Atomic Inferno in hand, where you can see right there. But here she does decide to go ahead and play the Trident Revolver. This memory chokes me at 1, gets rid of one of my swings. So right here is, I just promote the Gazimon. I think about attacking first, but just in case I hit a removal spell, I go ahead and swing over the Geogreymon. You see me there checking my graveyard just to see if I have any more in trash. It hasn't changed since last time, unfortunately, so I still only have 4. So trying to decide what I want to do here. Do I want to play something else? But I just decided to go ahead and swing in with the Gazimon. It does die, which is more than likely going to happen. Most of the stuff in the security is going to take out a 2k. And here, since I don't have any way to effectively use my memory any better than passing her, I think, to like 10 or 6, because I just have a Gundramon, another Beelstar, and some more options. I just pass turn, put her at 4. Try not to get over greedy. And then here she's just checking how many I have in security, double checking Beelstarmon's effect. She does Digivolve back there in the back to the BT6 Agumon, so that leads me to believe that maybe a Bond's coming out soon. I don't know if I've seen many in this matchup, so constantly have to keep that in mind, and then along with hybrids. But here she does decide to go ahead and play the Magnadramon. Here she does recover a little strange, but again, this was just two friends playing at some Wednesday locals, so I'm usually not too worried about it. But whenever you play in competitive, like if regionals or nats, just make sure that you know what is their top security, because sometimes it may matter how they recover their security. But anyway, so here I'm trying to decide what to do. She does put me at 8, so I will just go ahead and swing in with the Beelstar. It does live because Magnadramon is a little bit smaller for a level 6, but I do have the other Beelstarmon in hand that I can finally play for a little bit cheaper, or for the same amount for 8 and not pass turn. So I just go ahead and play the Beelstar, recycle a Trump Sword, try not to reveal anything else that I have in hand. Still no rookie or anything, so I can't really put that pressure on. Looks like I have a few Gundramons and another Beelstar in hand. So instead of, again, like last turn, getting greedy, I just decided to pass turn to 3. That way, even if she raises, she can't bond and hybrid at the same time, which is kind of what I'm hoping for. If I pass her to too much, then I'd just be dead in the water most of the time. So here she does decide to go into bond, and she swings at security, which kind of surprised me at first. She has the ability to take out both of my guys, but she does want to get those extra checks in. So out of security, she will she'll trash the Trump Sword and then hit the Beelstarmon. I think that makes her 6 now, makes her a lot cheaper. So, and then, like I said, she doesn't have the memory. I tried to make sure that she didn't have the memory to go into a hybrid if she did use this play. So I'm trying to decide, she's trying to decide what she wants to do. She knows that the bond is going to go away, and I don't quite have game on board. I have 6 in trash, so she probably is trying to decide if there's any way to get rid of this Beelstar, because if she leaves the Beelstar on board, I could go into something like a Zwart, or I could, you know, maybe make another board if I have another Beelstar. I don't think she has seen the Impmon much, so she's trying to just go back and forth and decide what she wants to do. She does decide to go ahead and Gaia Force the Beelstar, so I believe that puts me at 7 in trash now. It's 7 or 8, not 100% sure. I count right there. It looks like it's going to be 8 because I play Beelstar. She goes from I go from 7 to 3. So it was a 4 cost. So here I will just go ahead and play the Nailbone. Just decide at this point I need to go wide, because if she does have hybrids, then I am just kind of screwed over. And then I play the Vilemon with the Soundbird, and then just decide to go ahead evolve into the Zwart. I believe I top decked that turn, so I will play the Mechanorimon, and then at this point anything really works, but I think I'll just in case get the Impmon so I can cycle back out, get another Beelstarmon from trash. That way I have access to more Beelstarmons. So now my opponent is looking in a very not good position. I went from having nothing on board after she passed me to 7 memory to having 5 things on board. One of them is a Zwart, 2 rookies, and 2 blockers. One of them is Mechanorimon, which is probably the biggest one here, because if that keeps me basically infinitely blocking as long as she doesn't get over the 9k, and not a lot of lists will run the Burning Greymon, just because he costs so much and doesn't do as much as like Kendo would in the Gabumon matchup. So here she will hatch Digivolve into the promo Agumon, get a little bit more cycle. You can see she's got just a few removal spells, and it just looks like another Bond and a few more Greymons. So nothing really that can stop me on the following turn. So she's just trying to decide what she wants to do. She does have the Agumon as well, but with the blockers that I have on field, there's not much she can do, unfortunately. So here she will decide to give me a little bit of choke, put me at 2, playing the Atomic Blaster, taking out the blocker and one of the rookies. This way, if I do hit a removal spell, then I might not be game. So I go ahead and swing in with the Zwart first and don't hit the removal. I get the Beelstar back, and it is game. Soundbirdmon just swings for game. So that'll be the match. If you guys are interested in watching more BT6 deck profiles or gameplay videos, stay tuned to the channel, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.